Hello, traders. It is 8:02 a.m. Chicago time, 9:02 Eastern on the 20th of August, 2018. Welcome to a new week. It is Monday. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results because future results are somewhat random on an outcome basis. The laggard this morning's crude oil down just 24 cents, trading at 64.97. Remember, we're trading October crude. The leader this morning, leaders are the European markets. The DAX is up 143 points or 1.18%. The Euro stock's up 0.74. Interestingly, the treasuries are also up. This morning, the 10-year notes up 7.5 ticks currently, and the bonds, U.S. bonds, are up 22 ticks with gold at $9 up 0.77%. The overall market sentiment, in my opinion, is mixed this morning. Some allocation to risk, some allocation to safety at the same time. So overall, that's what we're looking for, what we're looking at for today. The calendar this week is dominated. Well, first of all, the sentiment in the market overall is dominated by the currency crisis in Turkey, which has knock-on effects on all emerging markets, and the trade talks between U.S. and China. Again, probably in focus this week. We also have Fed's Jackson Hole Symposium beginning on Thursday evening, so you're going to get a lot of comments and opinions and so on the economy from some really important figures economically. So that starts on Thursday. And then Wednesday and Thursday, we have the minutes from the Fed and ECB meetings. So relatively busy week ahead, and that's what things are shaping up to be. Today, we don't have anything that could interrupt our auction. Everything's already been released. PPI in Germany came out, and Eurozone construction output year on year came out. We do have Fed Speaker Bostic, who's a voter, on a U.S. economic outlook coming out at 11 Eastern, 1600 hours UK time. And then, as I said, for the rest of the week, there's just a kind of a distribution of releases that starts with Wednesday's U.S. existing home sales and FOMC minutes. But today and tomorrow, very light calendar, very light calendar. Thursday's heavy, and Friday's got a few releases in it as well. But Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are where we're paying attention to the calendar. Let's move on to what was expected on Friday versus what we got. So Friday, the primary idea was that we are likely to pull back down into the prior day's low right here, this green line, which was also the overnight low. Potentially poke it, look for an impulse up, and then look for continuation higher. I had pegged the high at about 49 or so. Didn't expect too much of a push. I did expect it to push through the low to test out the gap before it moves up. But scenario one on Friday had a pretty high probability of playing out. Barring that, scenario two is one that has the impulse down and then struggles to recover yesterday's range, which puts us into a push towards 28.25 and 28.23. That did not happen. Here's what actually took place on Friday. Pretty interesting trade on Friday. I saw some pretty decent opportunities. We confusing at first. The market pushed down, then we had an impulse up, so that was too early for scenario one, which then failed. I saw an opportunity here at the mid for a rotation down, was looking for a break of the prior day's high per scenario 1 and 2. But always looking to scale ahead of that, key day levels like lows, highs, points of control, things like that. And then it rotates back up to mid again, higher low, pokes through, and then we have this push to extend the range up. So now we're back to scenario 1, pulls back right to the mid right here, and then we get this impulse up. So we're looking for a continuation, look for a pullback, pull back to the stock zone, consolidate, pushes to 57, and then finishes with the point of control shifting to the high and a clear low volume node, which also left a single print at 48.50 in the ES. So overall, a lot of energy pent up in here. This turned out to be somewhat of it wasn't quite a trend day, it was more of a double distribution type day. The second distribution lower, but look at this distribution, it was just very flat. See those peaks in the profile were pretty much the same. I can't draw a straight line with my mouse, but here, let's try it again. There we go. That's a perfectly straight line, but you can see that these peaks were very, very tight against each other. What that's saying is the market is finding that that buyers and sellers are involved in a price series rather than finding acceptance at a higher price or at a consensus at an equilibrium price, and until it moved up. Once it moved up, we had your typical kurtosis around the VPOC, and a close right in that area. We closed at 28.52.50 on Friday. That's Friday for you. That you can make an argument for a trend day type. I wouldn't argue against that. But the biggest thing we take away from Friday's close is that we're likely to continue higher the extended trading hours, and we did. So let's look at the extended trading hours, the overnight session. Oh, that's a composite. Here we go. So we open up and we are sideways from 55.25 down to 50. So 5 points until the European Open. The Europeans open and we immediately start buying up and pushing to the high. And we have been consolidating since. A relatively uneventful overnight session with 127,000 contracts traded. Pretty light relative to prior sessions. Remember, Friday's overnight session, 189,000, with a profile that is not showing consensus. We're seeing many areas that it traded through. We're seeing a taper at the bottom, but it's a relatively poor taper at the bottom, relatively poor taper at the top. Unfortunately, the Globex session is not offering anything up other than the fact that there were some early aggressive buyers on the European Open. Let's take a moment and look at what we've done so far. So again, this chart represents day 1 RTH day per bar, and it shows us what the market is doing overall. Let me reset these bars. So there's the volume right there. So you can see that we battled out 27.20 pretty good here. The SMA is right in this area. The 200 SMA is right in this area. And again, this is RTH only. We've battled pretty good here, and then we started to drift up. And what we've done is we've continuously traded in a channel. We've pushed up, down, and we are in the middle. We're in the middle of that range now. And so it's the expectation now that we are, if you look at the sigma, closing sigma on the ES, let's pull that up. Let's kill these boxes here. Oop. Let's kill the stock zones. Oh, hang on. Let's kill these stock zones. And pull the second sigma. If you look at the second sigma, it's at 2882.50. The second sigma closing band is 2882.50 with the all-time high 2884. It's really close. We just have to have two standard deviation rotations of the 20-day close to close volatility, which is currently at 15 points per day on the close to close volatility. We need just two rotations to get to that high. And I'm just not seeing how that's likely to be avoided. I mean, it's clear that we pushed away from 2720, we pushed away from balance, and we've just been squeezing and squeezing and squeezing, and it's just not a very friendly environment for shorts. What am I expecting today? Just to get through this as quickly as possible. This morning, we're opening right on the edge of Friday's high. We're opening below the point of control. We're right at the mid of the overnight session. I'm looking for an open auction that initially tests up, looking for the overnight high to be pushed, and then I'm looking for it to fall back in and trade both sides. I'm expecting outside in trading today. I'm expecting low volume, low participation. Overall, I'm not going to be aggressive today. It's Monday after all. But overall, I'm expecting it to kind of hang out in probably a 9 or 10 point range, potentially all the way up to 63. I expect it to drift up and take the overnight high, at least take out the 57 before it starts to revert. And then the key area below us is 48.50 on the on scenario one. So it can push, the point here being that it can push as far as 48.50 while remaining, keeping the trend intact. Now remember last week, week on week, we went lower. We had a lower low and a lower high week on week, but on the day, we're one-time framing. We've been one-time framing since last Thursday or so. So we dipped and we pushed higher, and then Friday we could not take out the low and we pushed higher. So we're one-time framing up. I'm expecting that to continue. On the secondary scenario, open takes out the 57, takes out the overnight high, impulse down, consolidates at the point of control, pushes through 48.50, pulls back, and then starts to drift towards 44 for a target of about 41.40 on the secondary scenario. This is the point of control in this area and the attraction in this area. Scenario 3 is a push down, impulse up, trend up, get to 68.25 from around 28.53, 54. That's scenario 3, and so on and so forth. So today, really hands off for the first 20 minutes. Not going to do anything with the first 20 minutes, probably, unless something extraordinary happens. Not going to be very aggressive. I am expecting the market to settle into a balance pattern, so I'm going to be looking to trade from the outside in. If you don't know what that means, it basically means that I'm looking for a market that is mean reverting or moving from the extremes back in. So I'm going to look for extreme breaks. I'm looking for failure for, let's say it's an extreme break higher, like the peak of scenario 1. I'm looking for that to push. I'm looking for failure by buyers to get to make any ground for their effort in buying. So I'm looking for delta rising while price stalling. Hit the bid, look for the rotation back to the key areas below, especially if it gets back into the point of control, the opening swing, and so on. That's basically outside in trading. If it pushes through the low, that I'm looking for sellers to stall out. In other words, a lot of seller effort, but no returns. And then the market starts to turn, lift the offer, and then back towards the point of control, mid, VWAP, OS, whatever's in the middle. That's what I'll be shooting for today. Okay, be patient today. Good luck.